So hey everybody, welcome to our bi-weekly webinar. I'm Ryan Poole. I'm co-host here with Jim Brown here of New Path Title. For people that don't know me, I'm a real estate agent just like yourselves. Been doing this for over 20 years. I'm also the founder of RealTrade, which is an online marketplace and social media platform. I implore you to check that out. You can just Google RealTrade. Imagine this, you can get free leads off your own listings. You can also network with awesome service providers like Jim, awesome lenders, appraisers, contractors, all that kind of good stuff. But we're really excited for the show. This one is very relevant, as Jim here has been talking here before we've gotten started here about how this can equate to sales, guys. This big, beautiful bill, especially with investors here, can get you some awesome deals, you know, a pipeline of deals here going forward. So we're excited for this one, Jim. Excited you have on it. Excited that you're the co-host. So for people that don't know Jim, he owns New Path Title, which is a title company. Also James Brown Law. He's a real estate attorney. And he owns the awesome closing software Title Leap. So
And
excited
we
for
love
Jim.
doing hard
Excited.
money loans to anybody needing hard money
That's
loans.
true too. We might go down that road too. But yeah, so we're excited for this one, Jim. Why don't you take it away?
So you guys, we talked about the condo crisis a year and a half ago. We did a half a dozen shows on it. Some agents took action on it, some didn't. A bunch of them made some really good money taking action on it. I personally sat on my heels, didn't listen to my own advice. I'm paying the price now. I'm preparing for this show on discussing the benefit of the one big beautiful bill for agents in Florida, particularly. And I don't know whether it's I've had too much coffee or whatever, but this thing is such an opportunity. It's so relevant. And we're in the midst of this, we're in the midst
Missed.
of this terrible condo crisis market. And when I start explaining to you the interplay between the big beautiful bill and our condo crisis, it's like it's the intersection of opportunity. And if you take the steps to do what we're going to talk about, I can guarantee you you're going to get sales, because none of this stuff is rocket science. And I don't want you guys to think, oh, there's somebody else that's going to do it, so I'm going to ride on their coattails of success. This is an opportunity for you guys to jump in and do this stuff firsthand. Is it work? Absolutely. Is it going to pay off? 110%.
Oh,
I don't think the
excited.
policies of our current administration are going away anytime soon.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're going to, a lot of presidential cycles are 8 years. And lately, we've been seeing them at 4 years. I think this presidential cycle is going to be, or this administrative concept cycle is going to be around for a while. So this isn't going to be a one-shot wonder. All right, let's get right to it. Oh, reoccurring social, like and subscribe. I'd love to see your faces. Everybody who wants to turn on their cameras, it really helps because I can see when this stuff's resonating with you guys. It helps me a lot to know who can see it and who's getting it, and I can see your facial expressions. That
Yeah.
helps a lot. Um,
Awesome. So just so everybody knows, everybody's going to be emailed this outline and the recording of the video. So everybody that's in attendance is going to get that. So also Jim too, at the end, let's
yeah,
share the
question and answer.
yeah, we'll have
And I'm going
questions.
to do things a little bit differently this time, right? There is a ton here. I thought we could do this all in one show. What I really want to do here is create a really rich environment. That's a lot of reallys in 2 sentences. I want to create a rich environment for us to learn in, and then we're going to come back, do a little bit of homework on our own, and then we're going to break it into sound bites and marketing opportunities and all the little things that'll lever for the business. But there's too much here to do it all in one show. So the big beautiful bill has a ton of components. We're going to focus on one component right now that has a historical leg and then a recent development leg. And I want to introduce the concepts and have you guys learn about this stuff on your own. And then we're going to come back together and sew it all together. But I'm going to give you the high level stuff right now. And like Brian said, at the end, there's question and answer. You guys
Yeah.
can
And if
text
you have any
me.
questions as we go too, so you don't want to forget them, you can put them in the chat and we'll get to it as well at the end.
And you can text me 24/7. If you go to newpathtitle.com, you can click on 24/7 attorney support. More and more agents have been using this. Everybody calls me with the same thing, or they text me and they say, I'm so sorry to take your time. No, this is the most important way I can spend my time. So don't start by apologizing for using my time. All right. What does one big beautiful bill offer real estate agents? One big beautiful opportunity.
All right.
Today is July 29th, 2025. July 4th, one big beautiful bill act was signed into federal law. Regardless of your political commentary, this thing is pregnant with opportunity for especially for Florida real estate agents. And in the midst of the Florida condo crisis, this bill is 4x multiplier opportunity. It's only for people who are going to roll up their shirt sleeves and do the work. This is not for the market we had a couple years ago where all you had to do was answer a phone because your phone was ringing off the hook. This is gonna, if you get 10 people, if you get 10 buyers and sellers, if you get 10 investors to take advantage of this, it will turn into 20 deals for you a year. And your investor does not have to live in Florida. Your investor can live anywhere in the United States. If you get 10 people to do this, it's 20 purchase and sales a year for that real estate agent. And there's plenty to go around. We don't have to be greedy. Everybody's needy. Nobody has to be greedy. There's plenty here. This is part one of a two-part discussion on the new law, but today we'll focus on the act and one of several opportunities that turn into commissions. We're going to do two things a little differently. Like I said, we're just going to do this show on kind of higher level stuff, conceptual stuff, and then we're going to break it down into marketing opportunities and ways to actually lever your business. I told you I missed the condo crisis timing. I'm not going to miss this. This is all content to stay top of mind and distinguish yourselves in the market. The laws are always changing. Make sure you're up on any new changes. Text me 24/7 at 307, at the New Path Title link for the 24/7 attorney support. I'm terrible at email. I'm just going to say that right now. If somebody emails me something, if you send me a text, I'll jump on it. But if you just email me, it'll probably fall on dead ears. And if you like the way we work, write us in paragraph 20 as the closing agent. Don't change who's paying for title. Just write us in paragraph 20. The closing agent is newpathtitle.com. Market brief. The condo market sucks. There's not much you can say. Everything's just sitting on the market. The periods of time are getting longer. I'm not going to drill down on it. Residential homes, there's pockets that are doing terrible. There's pockets that are doing relatively well, but this is the middle of summer and it's just the way it goes and we got to get through it. But there's some stuff you can do during our downtime that's going to make you money. This will change. It's not forever. There is absolutely other opportunity, but you have to make the opportunity. It's not going to fall in your lap like it used to. And if I sound preachy, I'm sorry. I have the same situations for me personally as an attorney drumming up work. Like these are the slow times. It really hurts us. One big beautiful bill and cost segregation 101. What I'm going to focus on for this show today, and we're not going to make it a long drawn out show. I want to drop these high level concepts. We're going to focus on one big beautiful bill and cost segregation and the accelerated cost depreciation benefits under the one big beautiful bill. It's a lot of things to think about, and there's a lot of other benefits to OBBB, but we're just going to go over one of them today. And if anybody has any questions, we're going to go slow. Just raise your hand and we're going to go over it.
Yep. Let me ask you, Jim, do you think this is probably one of the most impactful parts of the bill for us agents? Like this?
Yes.
Okay, good.
For Florida agents, this is the single biggest impactful piece. Now, there's other pieces that you can lever into business and that are significant, but this is the single best marketable. Break it into a soundbite, send it to your audience, and have them start the conversation and then follow up.
Okay, good.
So before we get into accelerated depreciation, I want to take a minute and talk about what is cost segregation. We did cost segregation shows before. Cost segregation is a tax strategy for investors. There's a whole bunch of nuances we can jump into, like qualified real estate investors and not qualified real estate investors. But for the most part, cost segregation is a way. Well, let's just break it down in the outline instead of me explaining it to you. What is cost segregation? Cost segregation is a report that breaks down a building into smaller asset components. reclassifying parts of the property from the standard long depreciation period of 27.5 to 39 years into shorter useful lives, typically 5, 7, or 15 years, allowing faster depreciation for tax purposes. That's it. Don't listen to all these YouTubes. Don't listen to all these high-level people trying to sell you expensive classes. Cost segregation is a way of taking any piece of real property. It also applies to non-real property. There's a reason why General Motors has new equipment at their plant that lost money every year. There's a reason why General Motors has state-of-the-art assembly equipment when they claim a loss. It's so that they can take advantage of cost segregation. So cost segregation takes a building, it takes the HVAC, it takes the roof, it takes the landscaping, the sidewalks, the electrical system, the plumbing system, and it breaks all those pieces into classifications, and it puts a lifespan on those pieces, on those systems, on those improvements. Conducted by a cost segregation agent, the study identifies personal property improvements like flooring, lighting, landscaping that can be depreciated over shorter periods, accelerating tax deductions and improving cash flow. We'll talk about that in a minute. Why it matters. Accelerating depreciation property, owners and investors reduce their taxable income earlier, deferring taxes and increasing near-term cash flows and reinvest elsewhere. You decrease your tax burden this year, that puts real money in your pocket now. Cost segregation assets classifying the cost segregation asset classes in a typical residential property. So everybody understands the concept. Here's how it actually breaks down. 5-year property components such as carpeting, cabinetry, countertops, specialized lighting fixtures, built-in appliances, window treatments, and certain fixtures and equipment inside the rental units. It could just say inside the investment units. It's inside the rental unit because it's productive, but those fall in the 5-year category. In the 7-year category, you have furniture, some furnishings, common and pure residential versus commercial properties. So it's a lot of commercial stuff. 15-year property, land improvements related to rental properties such as driveways, parking lots, sidewalks, fencing, landscapes, irrigation systems, decks, pools, and outdoor recreational facilities. And in the 15-year property are the mechanical components like plumbing, electrical, wiring, HVAC, security, communication systems, inside or related to the rental, can also be classified in shorter life categories depending on their nature. So you have all those things are lumped into classes that are that are from the perspective of the IRS, their useful life is 15 years or shorter. Everybody with me so far?
Yep.
The underlying building and the structure, including the walls, the roof, and the major systems, remain on a 27.5-year residential rental property schedule and is not accelerated through cost segregation. So you have your structure, you have the roof, the foundation, the things like that. Those are still on a slower schedule.
Got it.
Land generally is not cost segregated. We're going to go over in a minute why that's so important. Under one big beautiful bill, here is the kicker. Accelerated depreciation was enacted and an owner can deduct from income 100% of the value of all the assets that fall into the 20-year and under asset class.
Wow. And what was it before? What it was like? It was a
Well, it was for a while, it was accelerated on a little bit different schedule. And then under Biden, the accelerated stuff went away for the most part. And now it's back, but in much stronger force.
Okay, good.
So pause, full stop. That is the whole show right there. If you understood cost segregation, it's as simple as this. All the asset classes, 20 years and under, you can deduct those values in the first year.
In the first year?
The first year.
Holy smokes. Wow. So you're pretty much going to pay no taxes then the first year because you can front load it all into the first year, all that depreciation. Yep.
I forgot the most important part. I'm telling you guys, this gets me excited. This is the whole thing right here. This is it in a nutshell. If you let that marinate and you understand the concept, it doesn't have to get any more complicated.
So basically, all the like the AC systems, the flooring, if
Yeah,
it's
you guys should be blowing up the
yeah,
chat.
yeah, I know. I mean, the AC system, all that stuff. I mean, any kind of sidewalk improvements, any kind of renovations on the interior now, that can all be written off.
So instead of taking your $1 million property or your $500,000 property or $350,000 property and taking equal depreciation deductions for 27 and a half years, all the assets that are 20 years, that live 20 years and younger, get depreciated in the first year.
Wow.
Tajay in our office, he jumped right on it. He's on it. He's taking advantage of this. He's got a little example property. Any of you guys that find properties for me, I'm on it. I'm gonna buy them. Text me and we'll look at the address. And we'll get into why this is so more doable than it might even appear. So what happens after the first year when there is no more bonus depreciation, right? So I've talked to a bunch of people about this and they say, yeah, but I like the little bit of depreciation I was getting every single year, right? Legitimate beef. I've got 10 properties. I've got 3 properties. I like that little bit of depreciation I got every single year. I depended on it. I want it. If I use it all up in the first year, great in the first year, but what about year 2? Sell the property and buy another.
There we go.
You're calling your owner and saying, hey, we're getting ready for this thing to expire. Let's go looking for another property. And it gets better. But what about the capital gains and depreciation recapture? Everybody thinks about 1031s
Yep.
and capital gains. Everybody thinks about 1031 and capital gains. 1031 is the vehicle when you have depreciation recapture also. Depreciation recapture under this scenario is way more valuable to the investor than the capital gains. How much is your property going to go up in a year? If it covers taxes, I mean, if it covers closing costs and interest and closing costs and commissions, you're happy. It doesn't have to, but if it does, you're happy. So you really don't have capital gains, but you've got dramatic depreciation recapture that's going to not be an impact on the investor from a tax perspective because you've 1031'd it. It gets better. 1031, the sale, they buy a new property, they start the cost segregation boot back up and avoid capital gains and depreciation recapture. I did not put this in the outline. I just want to float this out there until I run it by more tax professionals. And I've already thought about it in my head for the last several years. I'm going to say it out loud. If you have 5 people that have properties, and the way the cost segregation thing works, I'm going to use Australia because she's live and she's right here next to me. If Australia has a property and I have a property and Ryan has a property, we're all 3 in a row at the top of your screen, on my screen. I don't know about your screen. And Australia has a property and sells it to me, and I have a property and sell it to Ryan, and Ryan has a property and sells it to Australia. And she fully depreciated that $350,000 condo in year 1. She sells it to Ryan. Ryan does the exact same thing on the same numbers and the same values and the same cost segregation boot.
Jeez.
Boom! Sorry, you guys. Like I said, maybe it's too much coffee.
We
Australia
need like a
sells to
real world.
Jim, Jim sells to
Yeah.
Ryan, Ryan sells to Australia, and we start again and we do it for 3 years.
Wow. I want to see like a real world too, like how much in taxes this is, like how much you can save. I would love to see that too, Jim, on
We
this.
went through I'm going to give you guys an example. Tajay did, and I did had a session with a couple of guys, smart guys. One's a cost seg analyst, one's a cost seg agent. The other one was a CPA. And they did a $350,000 condo, and they showed us how it'd be $100,000 deduction from income for your first year. You get an income deduction for 100 grand your first year. So yes, I will go back to the outline for a second. I get carried away. Yes, 100% avoid the silent killer under cost segregation, depreciation, recapture. Everyone thinks of 1031s as being capital gains hero, but in a cost seg, a 1031 is the depreciation recapture hero. Generally, land does not qualify for cost segregation. That's why condos are so good. That's why Florida is so ripe. That's why the time is so relevant with the condo depression. Yes, the cost of carry is high, but here's the beauty. Imagine investing 100 in cash once. We're just going to do a typical $350,000 purchase. Somebody has 100 grand, they get a decent mortgage, they buy the property. The investor gets a $100,000 deduction from income every year and do it year after year. They don't have to buy a deal. They just have to buy a property that doesn't cost them much money. Doesn't cost them anything, ideally. The pool of buyers is way bigger than it ever was for that buyer. They're not looking for a property that cash flows. Your benefit comes from the cost segregation, tax avoidance, income deduction. Is everybody with me?
Yeah, we're getting it.
You're not looking for this cash flow cow. You're changing your whole perspective. You're just finding a property that's cash flow neutral. The investor's heirs, oh, it is a bonus. The investor's heirs get a stepped up basis after death, right? So you're 1031ing it. 1031 is tax avoidance. 1031 is not tax. It doesn't knock the tax out. You have the pent up capital gains. But when that person dies, I buy a bunch of 1031 a condo for the rest of my life every year. Australia gets the commission every single year. She gets the commission, gets the commission, gets the commission. I die. The property is properly positioned in a proper LLC. We're going to talk about that. And my daughter and my son get the stepped up basis in the property. So all those pent up capital gains and depreciation recapture, whatever the market value of that property was on my date of death, that is their basis in the property for the purpose of resale. This is not Warren Buffett level stuff where you have to be a super sophisticated investor to take advantage. This is grassroots stuff that the current administration made available under a law that is not going away. You have people on both sides of the party voting for the OBBB, right? This thing isn't going away anytime soon. And regardless of your political affiliation or what newscaster you listen to, this program is going to be around for a while.
Yeah. Jim, can we
I,
get a couple quick questions? We just got a few ones here. Is Frederico asks, any owner, even if the property is being owned for a couple years before, would it still qualify?
No, there's a whole lot to this stuff. The property has to be purchased after July 19th, 2025.
Okay, after July.
You can cost segregate any property at any time
Yeah.
if you've owned it for a long time. But if you want the accelerated depreciation, there's a whole lot here, but it has to be purchased. It has to be, the acquisition has to be
Jeez.
after July 9th, January 19th, 2025.
The January or July 19th?
No, 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 no.
Yeah.
Every time I start
Yeah.
digging into this thing, I can make it more complicated and I have to pare it down because there's just so much here. It has
while
to be
Jim's
put in.
grabbing that, one thing I found really cool, guys, is that, which I guess it makes sense, but it doesn't matter how much money you or your buyer put into the property. So if you find, like I just thought about it this morning, if you find a condo where the seller will seller finance the condo for you, you can cost seg that property. It doesn't have to be how much money you put into a property. If you get a mortgage that's 90% a loan to value, you can still cost seg the entire purchase price of the property.
So you get a seller, and Tajay and I were gaming this thing out this morning. So you get a seller, right? How many sellers do we know that live out of state, collect rents. They're collecting below market rents. They've been there forever. The assessments go up a little bit. They don't ever throw their tenant out. And now you see the property is below market rent, many years in ownership. They're likely older, and there's no mortgage. And now they're going to collect, instead of fixing toilets and getting calls in the middle of the night, if they do a seller finance deal, now they're going to get a mortgage payment and have no phone calls at the same amount. They're going to get the same value in a mortgage payment, have no condo dues. You know, like, there's so many opportunities here, but you have to look at the underlying
Yeah.
dynamics of your seller. You really have to
Yeah.
use these
Here,
tools.
we got a couple other questions, Jim. Let's just go over this real quick. The first
So
year,
but I want to get back to the
okay,
question. It was January 19th, 2025. The property has
January
to be
19th. So
acquired.
anything,
Qualify for OBBB benefits. You have to have acquired it after January 19th, 2025.
okay.
But you could cost seg without the accelerated feature any property you already own. You could cost seg that. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, another one here that Steven has is the first year 100% like expensing the item, correct?
You're taking 100% deduction from income.
Yeah.
The value of those things, your cost segregation analyst said fall in that 5, 7, 15, or 20-year category.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say you
So
have,
like the in Florida, life expectancy of some roofs for for its purpose is 15 to 20 years. Can the roof
say
be
that again?
like in Florida, some roofs are 15 to 20 years, right? So could the roof then be 100% deducted
Yes.
the first year? Oh my goodness.
Now, some roofs are 30 and some you get it gets complicated on the analyst's perspective. And
Yeah.
there's a couple of different types of analysts. There's some people that show up on your property and do physical inspections, and there's some analysts, we're talking just about cost segregation agents. And there's some agents that do video tours of your property. So if you start going to AI for cost segregation analysts and agents, you're going to see a big variety in the costs. We'll go over this in the next show, but you're going to see a big variety in the costs of the agents. Some agents, my wife did a little, when I started talking to this with her, as soon as I, disappeared, she started doing her own little research. And sure enough, she found agents that were $7,500 for a cost
Yeah.
seg study. But there's other agents that'll do cost seg studies for $1,500 and $2,500.
Do we have here we got another question, Jim. Do you have a cost seg agent that you recommend, and also a CPA as well?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we got a couple of bright guys. We could even bring them into the show next time if we
Oh,
want.
wait. Charlotte just had an awesome question here. Can you buy property as an LLC, live in it, like I guess rent it back from the LLC, and apply for the deductions?
No,
Can you? No?
no, no. And if you rent it to your kids, you have to rent it at market rents. Your kids can be the tenant, but the rent paid has to be market rent. But if you're paying yourself the rent and you're doing a cost seg, I mean, there's this thing called the Saratoga rule. You guys is it the Saratoga rule from the golf course, and you rent the property out? But
Well, what? How would they know if you owned it under LLC, and then you open another LLC and you rented it to that LLC that you
well,
control?
if you're ever audited, they're gonna
You're gonna
follow the
figure it
paper
out.
trail of money. But if you're renting the property to your kids,
Okay.
and your kids are paying market rent, that would qualify. Generally speaking, that would qualify. If you're renting it to your best friend, if you're renting it to your mother, if you're renting it to whoever, what happens to the money behind the scenes? That's up between you and your mom. But if they're paying you market rents,
Wow. Okay.
maybe your mom's paying you market rents and you're buying home health. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to suggest any nefarious stuff. I'm just saying the general rules apply. You're collecting market rents. It's a productive property. It's not a sham.
Mm-hmm.
Your pool of investors is bigger because you're not looking for the cash cow. Investors' heirs get the stepped up basis. That in and of itself is one whole show right there. But just in your mind, you've 1031'd all these properties and you've suppressed capital gains and depreciation recapture. That's a big burden for the taxpayer. The taxpayer dies, and provided it's properly structured in an LLC, S Corp or C Corp, and we'll go over that later, then the kids get the stepped up basis. What does that mean? You bought the property for 100 grand, you levered it. You know, there's hundreds of thousands of dollars of depreciation recapture and capital gains. When you die, the kid gets the property at the stepped up basis. It's now worth $1 million, and now the value is $1 million, and there's no capital gains if they sell it the day after.
That is so
Zero.
incredible. What a wealth builder. What a wealth
Agents get a sale price every year. Agents get a sale price every year. Agents get a sale and purchase every year. And if you have 10 investors, just on this alone, you're doing 20 sale and purchases a year.
Yeah.
20 investors anywhere in the country with 100 grand to burn. I mean, yes, you can do it for bigger numbers or littler numbers. I'm just saying, from an investor perspective, these people that have that kind of money, it's not 100 grand is not a big lift to get $100,000 deduction from income every year. You're not deducting the 100. You got to find the right property that gets you the $100,000 deduction.
Yeah.
But if it's a condo and no land, right? So if you're doing, generally speaking, if you're doing real residential real property, I was looking at a property the other day, and it was $500,000. And from a cost segregation perspective, I'm going to go real slow because I want everybody to get it. It was a $500,000 property. From a cost segregation perspective, only 2/3 of the property would have qualified for cost seg because 1/3 was land.
Mm-hmm.
And of the 2/3 that would qualify for cost segregation, much of the, a piece of it was frame and roof and structure and things like that. So that would fall outside the accelerated depreciation. So what falls inside the accelerated depreciation? All the stuff 20 years and under, and 20 years and under is generally going to be all your mechanical systems, all your plumbing, most of your landscaping, HVAC, electrical, low voltage, security. So what are all your appliances, your carpets, your floorings, things like that. So what are the most desirable properties? These little properties that are highly amenitized. Now, I know that's a contradictory statement, but I want you to keep in your mind, like, what are these little trigger things? You're not looking for these properties that don't have a lot of little amenities. It's all the little bells and whistles that make the cost seg so attractive.
Wow. And even if it's a shared amenity in a condo, I mean.
No, we're talking about amenities specifically for the unit.
Okay.
That's an interesting question that I'd have to do some research on. So no, you can't cost seg. The owner of a unit can't cost seg common elements. It's not, I don't even have to look that up. Yeah, because
Or special assessments?
everybody would be on different schedules. Special assessments, would they be cost seg opportunities? No, because the special assessments are going to be common elements. It's a burden of the property that drives the price down, and you want to structure that into the management of that into your purchase. But what I'm finding is, and the mistake that I made personally in the condo market is this, and it's simple. I talked about it a couple shows ago. I call it the infected buildings and the uninfected buildings. So an infected building is a building that has high special assessments. It's infected. SIRS and milestone inspections, well, specifically the SIRS, the Structural Integrity Reserve Study, has driven down the values. But the algorithms don't recognize infected and uninfected. So I personally owned units that were uninfected. The values were not driven down by the SIRS or the milestones and SIRS. The values were driven down by the algorithms.
In answer to one earlier question, sir, remember condo dues are an expense item monthly on your taxes. They're direct deductions. You can't segregate that out. Doesn't make sense. You take the whole thing.
Well, that's the value of having one of these shows, because that's a perspective I hadn't even thought of.
as well as special assessments. If you're paying those out of pocket, that's now an expense, expensable deduction for that year.
I haven't thought about it, but I think Stephen's right. I mean, I haven't thought about it, but I schedule all my condo dues, and the condo dues are expenses, and the assessments have to be an expense in the same category, you know? Yeah. So what are agents gonna do? What's the homework? What's the research? Do a little bit of research on cost segregation. Do a little research on OBBB and cost segregation and accelerated depreciation. And in the next show, we'll get together. We'll talk more about the specifics. We're at 40 minutes. We'll talk more about the specifics and what the action steps are. But what I envision is an outreach program talking about some basics with some bullet points. And if you're interested, give me a call, you know, me being the agent. Give me a call and let's have the discussion if you have some money, and we'll try to get some examples. And maybe it'll be a 3-show thing, and we'll get some cost seg depending on their
Well,
schedule.
this is what I would love to see, like a real world, scenario. Like, let's pick a condo. Let's go through it exactly what the investor owner could do, what us agents, our talking points we'd want to share with our, with our other buyers out there, and how much actual money, right, that they're going to save that first year, right, and like how much
deduction from income are you going to
exactly.
get?
Like, I think that would be the most powerful thing, Jim. That we could have.
So here's the hardest part of this whole thing. Unlike the condo crisis, it was really easy to put into words what you're trying to describe.
Yeah.
Right? The condo crisis was easy. If you're thinking about selling in the next 3 to 5 years, now's the time to sell. There's a little window of opportunity, and here's why. And it was easy to spell out. With this thing, it's a little more complicated to unpack. So some powerful illustrations, some single sound bites, and an example, I think, are the way to go. And we'll put that all together for you guys. It was Ryan's idea to do the show, and when he told me about it, I started doing the research on it. And the more I dug into it, the more I realized this is not a one-show thing. This is going to be a multi-show thing because there's so many little facets here. And the thing that's going to be most valuable to you guys is the ability to break it down simplistically.
Yeah.
So anybody who sees it goes like, that makes sense to me. It resonates with the user. It resonates with the listener. But we'll get there. There's a lot here. I mean, the big bullet points are cost segregation and accelerated depreciation.
Yep.
And then the multiplier of the big beautiful bill, the opportunities provided in the big beautiful bill, and the multiplier based on the Florida suppressed condo market.
Yep. I love it. I mean, it's going to help us sell condos, Jim. I mean,
and you guys, when you talk about milestone and SIRS, Ryan brought it up. I want to touch upon it real briefly. I keep getting calls from agents, and they're like, I can't get the milestone. I can't get the milestone. I can't get the milestone. The milestone is not important. The SIRS is important. SIRS deadlines were extended till December 31st, 2025. Milestone inspections under DeSantis's bill as of July 1st were still December 31st, 2024. But the SIRS extension, the SIRS deadline is December 31st, 2025. Why is that important? You can't have a SIRS inspection without a milestone, but the milestone is just the list of things that have to be improved upon to generate the SIRS. So don't get hung up on the milestone. Don't read the milestone unless you need to do extra research.
well, I mean, let me just interrupt
No,
here
go
for a
ahead.
second. No, Jim, the buyers do want to see the milestone.
The buyers want to
No,
see
they
the
do.
milestone.
They do. They want to see the milestone because they want to see if there's any major issues in the milestone report.
What I'm saying is this.
Yeah.
If you understand the SIRS puts money values to all the milestone issues. And the only reason I say the milestone's not inspection is not as important is for this one reason. The milestone might say new windows and doors throughout the unit, exterior windows and doors. What is that? I mean, is it a $200,000 or $2 million tick? The SIRS has the dollar value. The milestone only has the event. So if you read the executive summary in the SIRS, Structural Integrity Reserve Study, it'll have a category. And if you want to look at the category, then you can go back to the milestone.
Yeah.
But you don't need the milestone necessarily to break it down to your client. Because what does the client care about? They care about interrupted lifestyle and money.
Yeah.
They don't care about, who's doing it and what the age of the product is or what the age of the, I saw one the other day and it was, I think we went over it in the class actually. It was the fire system. And so the fire system was a this and the fire system was the this much useful life in it and blah, blah, blah. But what was the impact to the owner? The impact to the owner was next to nothing. But in the milestone, it was this giant section, but it didn't interrupt their life. They weren't on their balconies, jackhammering balconies, and they weren't paying big money for it. Like the whole lift was maybe, I forget what it was, 50 grand over 200 units or something. It wasn't a big deal. So if you looked at the milestone, you might look at the thing and go like, oh my God, this fire suppression system is such a big thing because it was such a big part of the report. But from a dollar perspective, it was next to nothing. So when you're explaining it to your agent, when agents are explaining to buyers and sellers, you want to make sure you understand how to explain it in a way that's digestible to them. Because they're just going to see the milestone and go like, oh my God. But then you say, no, but the dollar value is nothing and it doesn't interrupt your life.
Yeah. I mean, I've been through this on the last 3 condos I've sold, and you are right. Some of these, condos, they, it was tough getting the milestone report, even though they had the SIRS study. I had to ask for it multiple times, finally did get it. And I reviewed it with the clients and there was, nothing major there. But I mean, it is in the new condo rider, Jim, is one of the new, of the items.
So in the new condo rider is also a way to explain this to your clients that assessments can be loaned off. They don't have to be collected. Now, under the new law, you can get loans and credit lines for these assessments. So we're going to see in time a softening of the impact of the condo milestone inspection and SIRS and was it Surfside or Seaside? Surfside collapse and all that stuff. So it just takes time. But in the meantime, there's a real opportunity. And again, I apologize if I got a little too emotionally charged, but there's a real opportunity for us to lever this stuff. And we'll break it down together and we'll spell it out together and we'll do all this stuff. So
I think, that's, a goal for the next show would be to see exactly how much, depreciation they're going to get, the cost segregation. Also too, Jim, I would love for you to maybe add to the outline here a good cost segregation agent. And then also
yeah, definitely
a good CPA that, or a couple of them that you would recommend that us agents could have. If you could share the link to the outline into the chat right now, so I have it as well. And we can you do that real quick?
Yep.
Let's copy it. There you go. There, just copy the URL and put it in the chat. There you go.
Oh, can you do that? I was trying to look for the link.
There you go.
You guys, this thing's not done. It's a work in progress. It'll be done by the end
I know,
of
but
the
I'm just saying I kind of like to have it now because I mean, I'm gonna use this right now with my client because I actually working with about 4 or 5 different investors right now, and I'm really excited to present this opportunity of one big beautiful bill. And as far as what political affiliations, actually most of my investors are big Trump fans. So
I mean, you just got to sidestep that stuff regardless
I
of what
know,
side of the aisle you're on.
I
Because,
know.
the reality is everybody has an opinion.
I
And
know.
so as independent agents, we have to stay neutral. Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes you can get clients by lining yourself up a certain way. And sometimes you're going to turn off clients. I work for a big not-for-profit, the Crossing for Cystic Fibrosis. And a couple years ago, our CFO, our founder, was making some political statements and aligning themselves politically. And I was getting calls from people and they were like, hey, Jim, I know you're a big Crossing for Cystic Fibrosis, Crossing for the Cure proponent. And I said, yeah. And they said, well, we're turned off because we don't like what he's saying about certain political parties and we're not going to give money this year. And so I think of it like, hey, we have to be totally neutral. We just have to go out there and present the data, and people bite or they don't, and without putting a political spin on it. It's just an opportunity.
Yeah.
Just an opportunity. Anybody have any questions? Anybody have any criticisms? Anybody have anything they want to add? I'd be happy to hear it. We're at 10:50. I was trying to get you guys in and out, but like I said, this is high level stuff. The three big takeaways are cost segregation and accelerated depreciation. And then you smear in 1031s, cost basis reset at generational, at the generational level, and a
And
commission.
now too is we know, was it Stephen who had mentioned, or who had mentioned too, that you can, you know, your HOA fees, and if there's special assessments,
And your taxes, the
your
taxes
taxes.
are
You guys, there's so many great things about investing in real estate. I mean, it really is. It's one of the best investments out there.
But now when you do a cost segregation, it's putting real money in the taxpayer's dollar, in the taxpayer's pocket.
Yeah.
It's not philosophical money, it's real money. You make a one-time investment so that you know, you have to get a loan.
Yeah.
And so you got to bring some money to the table. And then a year after year, it's the gift that keeps giving. For the taxpayer and the real estate agent, that's the thing, like the intersection between the taxpayer and the real estate agents, what blows my mind. And if you had 10 investors that needed to buy and sell a property every year, that's 20 deals. I mean, we always have we have a saying in our office, a great agent does a deal a month. We're talking about 20 deals a year with the same.
I mean, this works for condos or multifamilies. I mean, it works for, you know.
It works for condos and multifamilies, but don't forget, you got to take out, you can't cost segregate
The
the
land.
land.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, you can't cost segregate the land. So now
Which is
you got
usually
to,
what? Usually 30%, right? You said.
well, roughly, that's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah.
And then of the 2/3 of the 66% that remains, you can't you can cost segregate, but it won't fall into the accelerated depreciation category, the frame, the structure, the foundation,
Mm-hmm.
right?
But still, there's a lot of other stuff: the electric,
Right.
the plumbing. I mean, the HAVCs, the flooring, the kitchens, the baths.
Everything
I
except
mean,
for the frame. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's a lot.
And in a condo, you're not paying for the whole frame. You're just paying for your interior improvements. So the ratio of depreciable versus non-depreciable, acceleratable, but non-acceleratable assets in a condo goes up. I mean, there's a reason why we see lots of new car washes
Mm-hmm.
and self-storages.
Self-storage, especially.
Why
Yeah.
is that? Because they're a great haven for income tax avoidance. Why? Because they're loaded with roll-up doors, they're loaded with little partitions. I'm talking specifically about self-storage. So they have lots of components that fall into that accelerated category.
Yeah. Federico has a good question. What is the purpose of this change from the lawmaker's perspective? It looks like
Investment in real property.
they look like they want more investors owning more residential properties. So that means,
Well, it's to spur investment, right? So there's accelerated depreciation in real property, and we're talking about one little slice of the pie, right? Think of the investment pool as a lot of different investments. There's a whole bunch of the OBBB that apply to equipment, that apply to, that, like we were talking about, car washes. The car washes, you have the rollers and the mechanisms, the machines and the brushes and all that. They want to see, in the government, the administration is trying to spur investment. They want to see us bring back onto domestic soil manufacturing. Real estate is just one little slice in that pie that we're getting the collateral benefit from. The big, I mean, real estate is millions of little transactions to the administration. And that adds up to a lot of money.
oh, it's huge.
But the bigger piece of the overall scheme is nearshoring and bringing back to the United States investment. And so you've got the world's biggest infrastructure project right now is in Texas. It's an AI, it's a data warehouse, it's a data center. Pause. A technology that only came into being in the last 5 or 10 years, really into our awareness in the last 2 or 3 years, is now the biggest infrastructure project in the world, bigger than any bridges, dams, railways. It's a computer center just doing nothing but warehousing AI. And so that's the kind of investment that this stuff is. I mean, pause, just do an AI search on the value of this infrastructure project. It's depreciable in the first year. I can't even wrap my head around it. I mean, I haven't done the math on it, what's depreciable and what's not. Obviously, the land is not, but the numbers are mind-blowing.
Yeah, imagine how much computers and other items they're gonna have in that place that are all depreciable after the first year.
And they use, I hate to say the word crappy, but they use a crappy structure with a 20-year life, like the warehouse itself, the building itself, instead of block and
Yeah.
crazy roof. They use crappy roofs and solar, and they power it with solar. They lump on solar and inverters and batteries. It's bam, like I'm choking myself. I'm so excited.
I mean, it's why the rich don't pay taxes.
Well, that was my old,
You
that
know,
was
I
my,
mean, it's why,
that was my
it's
old
why-
cost segregation outline, what I'm going to do. How the rich get richer. I mean, this, when I started the show, I said, like, this is a thing that if you break it down into baby steps, we can use at the little local level, right? But when we hear these big concepts, we think, yeah, this is for agents at, insert any of your big commercial, Cushman Wakefield or whatever it's going to be. That's what they do. They need to know about that stuff. No, this is something we can break down into the everyday agent's tool chest, tool belt to break out in small bites. It doesn't have to be Cushman Wakefields of the world. It can just be the local agent on the corner who has a little more savvy and markets themselves to a different notch. Cushman Wakefield's going after big institutional buyers and sellers. You guys are going after grassroots people. There's a hell of a lot more money in 1 million little grassroots transactions than there is in 1,000 Cushman Wakefield deals or whatever, 100 Cushman Wakefield deals. You know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
There's trickle down opportunity here.
Wow.
I just looked up the data center in Texas. I don't know how much the build is gonna cost, but the initial commitment and funding is $15 billion. That's how much funding they've rounded up already. It's $15 billion.
Funding.
So imagine how much of that they can depreciate over the first year.
Billions are the new millions. It just blows your mind.
Wow, Jim.
Taj and I were going over some of the tax numbers for Palm Beach County. Was it yesterday or the last week? I forget what it was, but the numbers rolling in on the tax rolls in Palm Beach County are insane. Insane. And we're talking about budgetary issues. I mean, it's just another one of these crazy big numbers, but anyways, that's all I got, you guys.
Thanks, Jim.
We're gonna make
I'm
this.
looking forward to the next one here where we can really dig down into it and just have a real life scenario of how we can, share with our clients on it. Because I'm
Taj, do you think we can get, what was his name, Zach and Alex for a show?
I think they would join, and they'll be very. I think they'll be up to it. I
They're
can reach
young
out.
guys and they open my eyes to a lot of different facets there, but they're up on it because they just live it all the time. That's the only thing they do.
what are they, cost seg agents? Is that what they are? Or what?
So one is
guys-
a cost seg agent, out of Texas, I believe, and then the other guy is a CPA locally here in Boca.
Okay.
Both young guys, both, so we talk about fresh eyes, right? So you look at this stuff from an older perspective, and I'm an older guy, right? And I say to myself, this is so novel and this is so, unique and blah, blah, blah. But if you're a young person that's just getting into the business, this is the way it is. You know what I'm saying? From a young person's eyes, from fresh eyes, it's not like this is so different or this is just the way it is. Let's learn it and let's do it. And that's what they're going to do. And if
I mean, honestly, as an agent, I've dealt with a lot of investors. If you learn this you know, you could literally make a whole career out of this in the next, you know, 4 years. Because think about it, you get some investors that are doing this, that are happy with it, that are seeing real world results. I mean, you get that's
And
one.
they tell their friends.
One thing great about I say about investors, why I work with a lot of them is like, man, they keep coming back. You know what I mean? They keep once you show them some returns and they're happy with you, they keep coming. I have investors that I've been dealing with for 20 years, Jim. You
They
know?
keep coming back,
Yeah.
and they also tell their friends. When you
Yeah.
take care of an investor, it's
Yeah.
viral.
It does.
Because the investors hang out together, they go to cocktail parties together, they bowl together, they golf together, they whatever. Just like we're on this little show right now.
I'm gonna learn this cost seg. It's like
How many people are on this show right now, Ryan?
I don't know. We had 20 some at probably.
20 something. And so Tajay and I did a little demo with cost seg and the CPA the other day. And now we're telling you about and many of you guys will end up doing deals with these guys. What I'm saying is it's viral. Like this stuff is viral.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's not like you just bought a house and you're happy with your house and who is your agent. When you're helping investors
Yes.
want to know how the other guy, how the other woman got a leg up. What did you guys do? I want to do that.
I know. And learning this is a huge leg up. Let's put in the cost seg agent that you have, Jim, in here in the outline, because obviously we're going to be sharing this. And then also
I want to do three. I got a couple people, but yeah, I want to
but
do
then the
three.
next show, like let's dig in more. But like I do want to have like a real world like breakdown
Example.
of a property. We identify it, we break it down, we show exactly what it is. So
Yeah,
okay. Awesome.
for sure.
Thanks.
All right, you guys.
Thanks,
I hope
Jim.
you
This
got
has
some
been an
value.
amazing one.
This is
Let's
the
get
best part of my job is sharing the stuff I learned with you guys and people text me 24/7. I'd be happy to answer any of your questions. Use RealTrade. RealTrade is an awesome tool that gets you a
I mean,
leg
I
up.
just had an agent call me yesterday. They got a deal put together from RealTrade, man. So, you know, go on there. It's free to join. You know, you can get leads off your own listings. And of course, you can network on the whole social aspect, get connected with Jim on there, get connected with awesome other service providers. You can promote your properties. We now have, we just launched first look listings, Jim.
What is it?
Agents can directly add listings onto RealTrade now. So obviously we take it from the MLS, put it on there automatically. But if you have something that's off market or you want to test the market before you put it onto the MLS,
Yeah.
you can do that on RealTrade now. So I just put one on there. I just put a first look listing that I have and an off market with an investor deal that I have. So pretty exciting, Jim. It's kind of going.
There's so much stuff going on in real estate right now. Like you're cutting edge and the Compass lawsuit, Zillow Compass
This kind of plays
lawsuit,
into it. Zillow's trying to make our lives harder.
110%,
I know.
110%.
And you guys, you own your own listings on RealTrade. Even when you make a first look one too, we're not selling leads off it to other agents or different people. Like you own it, which is an important aspect of RealTrade. And obviously,
Before we part company, I'm sorry, Ryan, I interrupted you.
Yeah,
Before we part company, I see people logging off. Before we part company, there is a program in Palm Beach Gardens right now. If you fall under certain criteria, there are grants available to you for home improvement.
Yeah.
I will find out more about the program. An agent called me about it yesterday, but they're getting a big chunk of cash. They're getting 40 grand to do a roof. The Gardens is giving them a grant for the improvement. You have to fall into certain criteria. And so I hear about it and I say, oh, that's great. But what is that? That's also a marketing opportunity.
Yeah, it is.
That's a marketing opportunity for agents. And it could be an email campaign or it could be a text campaign where you got a few good agents and you got a few good buyers or sellers or whatever the case may be. Those are opportunities for buyers. The property needs a roof and they're going to get in and they're going to get the grant. For sellers, they want to spruce up the property. For people who have been living there forever and they go, oh, Ryan called me and told me about this program and they're at a party and I got a roof and now they're calling Ryan and now Ryan's making another relationship. I'll find out more about it. I'll send it. We'll talk about it more. I don't remember exactly what the name of it was, but we have an agent who's getting it and it has to be your homestead.
Awesome.
Ryan,
Yep.
Are the listings that appear on RealTrade, do you know if they also are grabbed from my state MLS, or is it just like the Miami Association of Realtors that it'll pull from. Because I
So,
have a listing in Newport Richey
yep,
and I put it on my state MLS and
yep.
I haven't checked RealTrade to see if it appears,
Yeah, it
but I'm just,
wouldn't. Unfortunately, we don't get the IDX feed from my state MLS. We get it from Beaches MLS. So if it's in Beaches or Miami MLS, but now you can put it on a Real Trade physically, like
I
yourself.
can put it myself.
Hey,
That's
listen,
fine.
here, I want you to check it out and give me some feedback because I designed it to literally like you can make a listing in 5 minutes.
Okay.
And you can, yeah, that you can do it for 5 minutes. You can do it on your phone too, as on the mobile version as well. So,
Okay.
check it out.
All right, I'm looking through the comments. I'm gonna throw the people that we talked to the other day in the text. In the outline, I'm gonna put in some people that we've talked to in the past in the outline, but we'll have a much more concise referral list of people who know about this stuff. But the main thing for you guys is understand the talking points, and we'll make some bullet points so that you can communicate more efficiently to your buyers and sellers.
Yeah. So the next webinar Maria asked is in 2 weeks. We're going to dig in deeper into this, right? So
Yeah.
we'll have that. Or
And
maybe
we'll also go over, like Ryan said before, there's a bunch of other benefits under the OBBB, and we'll go into those too. But this is the one that I think turns into sales for you guys.
all about, I appreciate it, Jim. Like you're always thinking about how we make sales. You know what I mean? I mean, you listen to some of these other, real estate professionals that are just giving you data, trying to inform you. But the important thing is like, how can we use this
How do you turn
information?
it into sales?
I know. And you in
I
the
hated
closings.
I didn't like the mortgage foreclosure crisis, but the mortgage foreclosure crisis 10, 20, 10 or 15 years ago was great for me because I got a buyer or a seller calling me every day saying, oh, they call the law firm and they say I'm in mortgage debt problems. And then it would turn into a short sale. And I'd call an agent and say, hey, Ryan, list this property or whoever. And I made tons of relationships. Now I have to give you guys the information to go out and find the buyers and sellers. They're not knocking on my door. I was happy to make the referrals then. Now I want to give you guys the tools so you can make the connections.
Go on to RealTrade. You can get direct buyers right there, Jim. Like, check it out. It's free, guys. All right. Awesome, Jim. Appreciate this. This is a good one. We're looking forward to the next one. Obviously, we'll be emailing out and letting everybody know about the topic for the next webinar. Thanks, Jim.
Cool, you guys. Have a great day.